What's up YouTube, Duelist Tellarknight here, and you guessed it, I am back with another deck profile. Surprisingly this time it's Qliphort because we got towers unbanned. So I figured I'd go ahead and do a deck profile of that. Before I get started, I wanted to let you guys know that I am selling some cards on my fiance's eBay account. I am selling cards hoping to be able to afford a new French horn here soon, which is about a $4,700 instrument for the one I'm going for, and that's only that price because I'm not buying it from the manufacturer. If I was buying it right from Yamaha, it'd be about $8,000. So, without further ado, let's get started, and just so you guys know, I will put the link to that eBay, to those eBay listings in the description of this video. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. For Qliphort, for your normal Pendulum monsters, you have, of course, the one Scout. Sadly, it is at 1. I wish it was at 2. Then you have your 2 Monolith. And Scout's pretty much your pay 800 and search for something. Monolith is your, you tribute summoned Qli monsters for towers. Go ahead and draw 3 at the end of your turn. That's pretty much what it is. I also run Skybase in this build, so that one works too. Next I run 2 Disc and 2 Stealth. These two go hand in hand when it comes to their scale. Disc is a scale 1, Stealth is a scale 1, pretty great. Disc's effect, if you tribute summon it, special out 2 Qli monsters from your deck. But they are destroyed during the end phase. And then Stealth is if you tribute summon it, you can return 1 card on the field to the owner's hand. So if you have already used Scout's search and you bounce it with Stealth, you can activate it again and get its search again, which is actually pretty good. Next, I run triple Qliphort Carrier, if I can get them all set up here for you. Carrier is pretty much your compulsory evac of the deck. If you tribute summon all 3 of these for towers, which I have done before, you get a pretty great board wipe pretty much on your opponent's field. You just return all their monsters to the hand. And then if you've also tribute summoned for Stealth or something in that same turn and you tribute 2 of these, which if you manage to pull off all 5 of these, the 3 Carrier and the 2 Helix in 1 turn, holy cow, show me how. Because most I've done is 3 Carriers and 1 Helix, not all 5 copies of these cards that I have here. Helix is pretty much your MST of the deck. If you tribute him for a tribute summon, you can pretty much pop a back row that your opponent has. Granted, it is both of these Carriers a monster on the field, and Helix is a speller trap on the field. So it's not just your opponents. Next is Qliphort Shell. I only play 1 copy of Shell in this deck because it's a pretty good beat stick if you can tribute summon it, but other than that, I normally just use it as a monster on the field to tribute for towers or Skybase. And then, of course, the 1 copy of Cephalopod. Cephalopod allows you to do burn damage to your opponent and then gain life points equal to the amount of damage you just did to your opponent. So that's also really great. That's it for the Pendulum monsters of the deck. Next, I play 1 Towers and 1 Skybase. Towers, pretty much, it's like a Triver almost, except it's for board and hand. Well, board or hand. And your opponent chooses the monster this, and it is specifically a monster. But it's pretty great. It's a level 10, 3000 beat stick that drops all special summon monsters attacks by 500. And then you have Skybase. Skybase is literally a change of heart for that turn. You can just summon towers and then summon Skybase if you manage to bring out both in 1 turn. Which I have, thanks to the Qliph's End that we got in Invasion Vengeance along with Tellarknight Batlamaeus, or Batlamaeus, however you want to say that, which is a really great card, by the way. But if you get these both out in one turn, kudos to you, because you can use Skybase's effect. If your opponent has one monster, take that monster, and then towers will pretty much cause them to have to discard a monster out of their hand. And then that is it for the monsters. So I'll get those all the way over here for you. Next I have is the spells. 3 Summoner's Art, so you can search your Monolith and your Scout. 2 Sacrifice, so that it's easier to tribute summon for Skybase and Towers, but you also get a search when this is sent to the graveyard, and your monster that it's equipped to gains 300 attack. So it's pretty nice. Next, I play 2 copies of Into the Void. I do not run Card of Demise in this deck. Never run it in Qliphort. You don't need to. It's a great deck as is. Especially now that we have Towers back. So please don't run Demise. Yes, you draw more cards off of Demise, but you cannot special summon after you activate it, so actually I think it's just that turn in general, so yeah, just don't. You don't need to. Next is 2 copies of Wavering Eyes. I thought about running 3, I tested it a little bit. It was helpful at 3, but it's cloggy at 3, because then you get it in your starting hand, and that's not really a card you want to see in your starting hand in Qliphort. You want that to be like your turn 1 draw or something, if you go second. And then next, of course, is Laser Clip, because you get that extra normal summon, which allows for you to just draw more cards off of towers, not towers, but off of Monolith and whatnot. So that's it for your skills. Next, I have the 3 copies of Lose One Turn, as well as 1 copy of Skill Drain. This is literally, your monsters aren't getting any effects this turn. That's what this setup right here is. If you somehow manage to brick hard enough to where you get all 4 of these in your first hand, I'm sorry. That has never happened to me, so hopefully it does not happen to you. Next is 3 copies of Solemn Strike, because everybody needs it in this deck. That way, it's pretty much a counter fairy type card. And if your opponent's playing counter fairies, I'm sorry, you probably just gave them a draw by activating it, but it's still a really, really great card. Next is also Solemn Warning, and then after that, Solemn Judgment. Solemn Judgment just got off the ban list. I can play 1 copy of it now. I'm happy. Never want to play more than 1, because it's just cutting your life points in half each time you activate it. And then after that, I play 4 Qliphort support cards. 2 Qliph's End, which is it acts as 3 tributes for an Qliphort card, which is Towers or Skybase. And then also during the battle phase, it's just, hey, I have another 1800 beater I can attack you directly with, because I just killed all your monsters with these other guys. And then on top of that, 2 Climate Change. Climate Change is awesome in the Link format, because then you can add your face-up Qli monsters from your extra deck back to your hand and summon all of them through a Pendulum summon rather than only 1 or 2 because of Link rules, so that's really great. And then last but not least, I play a copy of Storming Mirror Force. Storming Mirror Force is really great in this deck for the defensive side of things. Like, if you open up bad and you're going first and you have this and like a warning and a judgment or something and then a scout and a mono, activate scout and mono, go ahead and get that pendulum summon off, but then set these 3 in your back row. You'll set those 3 in your back row and you're pretty much set. That's why I run Storming Mirror Force. Now, I have tested the 2 copies of Pendulum Paradox in this deck. They are really great if you can combo it with Climate Change, because then you get 5 face-up monsters from your extra deck to your hand. But at the same time, it's also really good for getting that Cephalopod and Scout back to your hand, or the Stealth and Monolith back to your hand as well. So you also want to keep that in mind. I haven't quite really figured out what to take out for this. I've been testing it not even a full week. So definitely a good card to put in Pen Magicians, but I'm not finished with that deck at the moment, so I'm just kind of bouncing it around in all of my Pendulum decks. I'm working on Pen Magicians, and I'm working on Odd Eyes, and Qliphort is great deck. I'm still testing it just a little bit. But other than that, that's my spell and trap lineup for the deck as well. And onto the extra deck, I play 5 cards in the extra deck, waiting on the other 2 Genius, but I play 3 copies of Qliphort Genius. Great effect. I'll go ahead and read the effect. I don't fully have it memorized. This Link Summon card is unaffected by spell and trap effects and the activated effects of other Link monsters. Only Link monsters. That's interesting compared to the Qliphort cards, which it's cards whose levels and ranks are equal to or less than that card's. So towers would be 10 or less, and Skybase is 9 or less. Once per turn, you can target 1 face-up card on each player's field except this card. Both those cards have their effects negated until the end of this turn, so you can pretty much boost your monster's attack and your opponent's monster has no effect. So like let's say effect, oh, I don't really know. Let's say like the new Parshath or anything like that. That would be a great target for this on your opponent's field. And then the last part of the effect is when 2 monsters are special summoned at the exact same time, so you can only do that through Pendulum Summon or Soul Charge. To the zones this card points to, you can add 1 level 5 or higher machine monster from your deck to your hand. So any Qliphort monster. This is a Towers and Skybase search, people. Use it to your advantage, please. Very great card in the deck. Next is 1 copy of Decode Talker and 1 copy of Binary Sorceress. These are just kind of in here as fillers for the extra deck. And also, I'm not gonna lie, every now and then I play the Cyber Dragon Nova and Infinity in this extra deck as well, because I can Wavering-Eyes my scales. Well, I can activate my scales, scout and something else, pend out 2 Monolith, and then Wavering-Eyes my scales, get that search, activate Pendulum Paradox or something, get scout back to hand, but overlay my 2 mono for the Nova and go into Infinity, and now I have a negate on board as well. So that's a pretty good combo in the deck. I do run those every now and then, not very often, mainly keep them in ABC. But thank you for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think about this deck. Anything you would change? One thing I can say I'm probably not going to change is the amount of sacrifice I play, because you don't want to play 1 because you don't see it enough. You don't want to play 3 because you see it way too much. So 2 is actually just perfect on that card, because let's be honest, if you started off with, like, if you play 3, you have such a high chance of starting off with 2 in your opening hand, you just don't want to do that. So without further ado, I will let you guys go. Thank you for watching my video, and please check out the link to the eBay listings that I have that I will be putting in the description, and let me know if you want to see anything else coming up on this channel. I'm going to be getting some deck profiles from friends on their Pendulum Magician decks and whatnot. One of my friends has a true Draco 6 Samurai deck, which is actually a pretty insane deck. My next deck list is probably going to be either Counter Fairies or True Draco ABC, which is really fun to play. So, thank you for watching my video. It is about midnight where I'm at right now, here in Oklahoma. And thank you for watching. Have a great night, guys.